Ba-da-ba.
Daddy,
You guys are
want you
such
to
ass.
Welcome to The Second Wall, a binge-free zone where we look at a series and discuss it one game at a time. This time we are discussing Squid Game Season 2, Episodes 1 to 2. It can be found on most podcasts and social media platforms, a full list of which can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. Please watch along and join Drew and I in the playground to discuss. So Drew, want to play a game?
You know, before I answer that, I do have to kind of go on I wouldn't say a rant, and I wouldn't say a tangent. I need to go on a spiel. I need to do a spiel.
Please do.
We discussed this at the end of our recordings for the first season of Squid Games. There's not really a reason to do a season 2.
Yes.
At least with the same characters.
Yes.
Handsome Caught, notwithstanding, though he didn't really have much of a storyline till the very end anyways. So I kind of went into this with expecting to be let down.
Yep.
I didn't think there was going to be anything of substance to it. I thought it would be just kind of like holding on to the hype, etc.
Yeah.
And
your expectations were met.
No, after seeing the first 2 episodes of season 2, I'm actually cautiously optimistic. I could foresee a world where season 2 is standalone in comparison to season 1, is just significantly better and more cohesive.
I'm going to soapbox a little differently. So, much like we discussed in season 1,
yeah,
the show didn't really need a season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And if they did, it would need to have different characters or somehow the character be forced in like they were in the superior equivalent of this game, Liar's Game. Instead, we spent 2 hours watching people trying to find the masked guy for 2 years and getting nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like we got to know any characters or have any introduction to anyone new that stood out, with like the one twist exception of like the mascot girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly had a very hard time getting through the first couple episodes because it is very much not what I was looking for in Squid Game.
Well,
and I don't feel like we actually got into any action.
Well, I don't think it's about a coterie.
It's not even necessarily being about a coterie. It's just I'm watching this for the games, not trying to hunt down a guy for 2 years. And when they're that powerful, they would have found him and they would have held this done. I would have been happier if at the very least, instead of him like strong-arming his way back into the games, he was just mysteriously pulled back into the games. Like something we speculated in season 1.
I don't care about that at all. In fact, my perspective is purely based on the fact that their 30-second decision at the end of the season 1, they were actually to make seem reasonable. Actually retcon it into a reason why he would turn around instead of flying to America. It being about 4, 5, 6, and what they've done to him and what they made him do, and him wanting to stop it, actually makes sense. They're just changing the genre.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't have a problem with him wanting to stop it. Like, we kind of discussed that previously. It's just, I don't know why we had 2 hours of setup for it. Like, why are we a quarter of the way through the series and we still haven't done anything Squid Game related?
Well, I mean, that being said, the only reason why we're a quarter of the way through the series is because they released all the episodes in one go.
Well, even if not, most series are about 10 episodes
on
Netflix. So you could reasonably say we're a fifth of the way through. Either way,
It,
we're 2 hours in.
essentially
And
because this season is being shown to not be about playing games. It's about the meta reality of the Squid Game and its effect on the people. What you want is people being clever and subverting a game or coming up with something intellectually so they can win. That's not what the season's going to be about.
but I don't feel like we've been adequately shown I don't think we've been shown anything new about the effect of the people. We've had one scene, like we have 456 being obsessive about getting back into the game to stop it, or well, finding a way to stop it. And if that means getting back into the game, it means getting back into the game. And like we had the nightmare scene, like in the first episode, and then kind of nothing.
He creates a paramilitary force to take out this guy. He plays Russian roulette. Has a 1 in 2 or 1 in 2 chance of dying by pulling the trigger, because he's that motivated to do the thing. It was all about him and his reasons for what he was doing. That's what the first 2 episodes were about.
But that is well, no. It was what he was doing for it. It wasn't playing with the effects of the game. Like he wasn't. Sorry, I guess when I'm thinking of like what's the effects of the game, I'm thinking like, hey, we should be dealing with trauma. I will say this: they've given Handsome Cop more to work with by at least having him go. It's like, look, if it's about evidence, I can't be doing this anymore. I've got to like just be a traffic cop where the evidence is there, and still trying to look to, you know, prove to himself he's not crazy at least. So I mean, kudos for doing something with Handsome Cop. We needed it, but I just felt I don't know. It went from a psychological thing to a shonen thing.
I disagree completely. I think that's an over exaggeration by far.
No, yes,
we're talking
but
we're talking about 456, goofy bad dad
yeah,
who can't hold a job to the point where he wants to stop something so bad he gives up everything he has and creates a paramilitary force to take out some high-powered VIP. Like, and how they got there. His obsession, his frustration, the effect that it has on his sleep, where he's living, how he's living. They express that quite well in this.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I didn't believe it. It is weird that we are so opposite on this one.
Well, there's nothing to believe. It's just a show. Like, don't believe the
Yeah.
first season. None of it made sense there either. That being said, the first
No,
season.
but I could believe how the character, like I could believe what the character was doing. We were never going, huh, these are weird decisions that they're making, or like what's the motivation. It's such a difference in character. It feels like I'm watching a completely different show with no tie
That's because
to season one.
people who go to war come back very different people.
Yeah, see, and I figured we'd be exploring like the trauma or something more if we're focusing on him, and I don't feel like we effectively are.
I don't think we need to express that in the first 2 episodes of the season, right? Like
Mm,
we're going we have another 5 episodes with this guy.
yeah, like I can understand where you're coming from. It's just like it was a lot of time for it just felt like it dragged on too long instead of getting into the action. It felt like we've had 2 hours of exposition
I mean that
instead of actively getting into the show in any real way.
that's because they were fixing major holes in the first season.
Yeah, I was fine ignoring the major holes. It's like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So again, like as we've made references many times in the show, we look at things like Liar's Game. Like there was like the main character in there, she was very good at finding the reasons to go back into the game and trying to help people. Like it was the clear motivation. We still deal with the trying to bring it down, while never straying from the action of the premise of the manga.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my issues are here.
But how many chapters are we in at that point where that becomes clear? It's not the first volume.
It took her a bit to get there, but the thing is, we never left the games while she was getting there. That's where this is blowing my mind. I think it's something like we talked about a bit in season 1 of this show as well. It's like we could be using effective uses of flashbacks instead. I think I would have been much happier if this actually was using some flashbacks to the real world instead of the game, as opposed to spending it all outside of the game.
I think we need to look
premise
at
of the show.
Yeah, I think we need to look at the game in a different aspect, though. What's that stupid high school one that I always
Battle
forget?
Royale?
Yeah, Battle Royale. There was legitimately iteration of Battle Royale where a bunch of old hats who had made it through the game went back specifically in force with intention to stop the games through violent means.
Yeah.
This is closer to that than it is Liar's Game.
Yes. And Battle Royale is the other one that we've obviously referenced a lot in this.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, I'd still be looking at showing it through flashbacks instead. Is the bigger thing. And unfortunately, like they've set up the show. The premise of the show is the games, and I can understand them not being the focus of the game. But like the setups that they've done here has just confused me more. Like the bread and lottery scene altogether. I'm like, this has nothing to do with how Squid Game has been set up.
No, but it illustrates the effect that the Squid Games has on the people that are employed by it, who are subjected to it. It may have been 40% too long for what it actually was, but
so are you suggesting that he was just doing that to test outside of the game?
I'm saying that he's psychologically disturbed by the violence and the expression that was experienced within the Squid Game. We're seeing the effect it has on people. We see the effect it has on the handsome cop, what it has on 456, and even the front man, who is supposed to be stone-faced and stoic. We can see that he's actually quite deranged.
I don't mind the deranged part of it. Like that part didn't bother me. My question is, so the only thing we have for him as the character is the front man. Everything he's doing is about incorporating people into the games. So the bread and lottery thing, I have to go under the assumption that this is still part of the game, like the recruiting part of the game or something.
You don't, though.
It is the assumption that I have based off of it. It is the only thing we've ever seen with the character. So I don't really have a reason to assume that this isn't somehow connected to it.
Then the Russian roulette would have the same problem as the bread and lotto.
It does.
So you think it has the same failure? I
do think it generally has the same failure. It was actually my big note for it. It's like, I'm not seeing how this is connecting to the game. At the very least, with the rock, paper, scissors, Russian roulette part, I mean, other than, well, I mean, again, we've discussed how they go and change rules anyway. So him doing that, yeah, that seems par for the course.
Well, I'm talking about the Russian roulette of him versus 456. But I mean, it doesn't matter because the excuse. So the indication is that everything that happens in the first 2 episodes is the impact that the game has on people. But you've dismissed that point, so I don't have any other points.
I'm saying I didn't see evidence. So my evidence, like, I'm not trying to be dismissive. It's just, I didn't have a reason to see it as not part of the game. Again, like the Russian roulette part, I can actually still see that as being like, at least he's doing things in the same way that the game is done. You know, like with the 2 guys he had captured for following him, like, yeah, that makes perfect sense that they're doing that. Like the even just having the bit of the back and forth, doing it through the Russian roulette, Cool. They make it part of the game. Um, I guess I don't have enough about the front man to see how it is having the effect. I did kind of like the deranged part, and I definitely can see how that plays into your point about it showing the effects of it on him.
It's
I
because
just don't understand why that was the game that they chose to do, because it didn't feel like a connection to the games at all.
because he's so profoundly impacted by the games that he does that outside of his requirements, his duties.
Okay.
That was him personally doing it.
Okay. And I didn't pick up on that as how it was presented to me.
I think you're going to be very sad with this season because it's not going to be
Yeah.
about the individual games.
No, like I want to see how it I'm interested to see how it's going to play out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I'm not expecting it to be about the individual games like it was in the first season. I expect there to be a bit more around it, especially if the games are in any way similar to what they were before.
Mm.
Like you're gonna not gonna need that setup. With that being said, I'm hoping that the psychological aspect comes in, even if it's not about the games. And the psychological aspect in this case here being 456, uh, um, trying to actually, and hopefully this time succeeding in putting a stop to the games somehow. Though, I mean, paramilitary force obviously will change that a little bit.
Will it though?
Yeah, yeah, probably not. Um,
So, the number two henchman,
mhm,
uh, I'm pretty sure he's already flipped
mm,
because he was talked to by the front man.
yeah,
What did they talk about? This, though, Squid Game's problems aside, they're generally pretty good about showing something and referencing it. It's
yeah,
why it was the strength of the first season to have anything that was everything ship on in a bottle,
yeah,
because those outside effects you don't have to worry about. You have a very controlled atmosphere. You show a symbol, that symbol matters later on.
yeah.
Where I would say that was a weakness with the first two episodes being outside of the controlled environment. Uh, you're not able to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the number two guy has flipped. I think I wouldn't say that the cars of the paramilitary force being knocked out of commission. I wouldn't say that was staged,
Mm,
but I would definitely say that the Squid Game organizers knowing about the tracking device is,
yeah.
is probably very reasonable.
Yeah. I would agree.
Uh,
So I think, like, you know what you're saying. I think it is. I think I'm hoping we're gonna see more with Flip of the hosts of the Squid Game as well.
hmm.
I think that's kind of what they might be setting up for. I think why else would we be getting such introduction to the mascot girl, number 11,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and having that reveal? I think that's probably where I could see it going. So maybe there is going to be some sort of inside aspect to it, uh, more so than handsome cop running around giving us a pseudo inside look at
Just
what's
running
happening to
around
them.
being handsome.
Yep.
Oh, I gotta say this. I thought it was hilarious when the passenger on the scooter totally called out the handsome cop for being handsome.
I had a good chuckle at that. Thank you for sharing that trope with me.
the Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I think the games are gonna be secondary or tertiary. Actually, tertiary, because I think characters are gonna be primary.
Hmm.
Um,
As they should be.
and motivations are going to be secondary. Whereas I could say in the first season it went characters, games, motivations
Yeah.
because they were subject to something. Um, in this case, we're going back voluntarily.
But I I think to make it holistic, and I'm probably beating a dead horse, so I'll try not to dwell on it. I think this is again why I would say we would need it to have these things as flashbacks. Like we should have been having like at the very least little snippets of the games and then flashing back to these effects that led to the choices to
I
just kind of help tie it in, especially where because I agree, I don't think the games are going to be the focus, but I think that means that they need to be more present.
I can definitely agree on the structure. I'll give you that. The way that I would have handled it is first scene 456 waking up in the jumpsuit
Mhm.
with 456 on it,
Yeah.
and then you do like a 30-second thing of him being kind of disorientated and getting up, and then stealing his resolve. Netflix intro, then into episode 1 as we saw it.
Yeah.
And then do the same thing in episode 2, and then for episode 3 going on, you would just be within the games.
Yeah. Yeah. Just something to tie it more. I think and I do think that's where a good chunk of my disconnect came from it. And oh, I'm generally pretty good at about looking at the things separately. Um, but I think yeah, I think it's just the structure thing. I think that would have just gone a long way to tying it back together in a second season.
It's interesting for me, like it just made perfect sense. Like I sat down, and the main reason why I'm cautiously optimistic is the script writing itself is far better. The
Yes.
acting is far better.
Yes.
The music is better. Like, I would even say the cinematography, the shot choices,
Mm.
everything has been stepped up. And that took me out of being like, why am I even watching this? To like, there's promise here.
Yeah, and I guess I should clarify that. Like most of my issues from this here
Structural.
are very much coming from the structure of it.
Mhm.
Because I do agree. I think the acting was better. Um,
So
I
much
think there was
better.
so much better. I think there was a lot of great scenes, great moments. Honestly, like I really liked. Again, there's some really good characterization. And again, we've got number 11, who is very clearly cares. Yet we now know that she's one of these game masters who will like just kill without hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's going to be a complexity there. And me again, I think that was masterfully done how that was twisted because the everything about it was going, hey, cool. They're actually leading up to having um, to why she's going to be in the game. I was even things like, oh, cool. We have someone in the game who's not a complete dick like they all were in the first one. To find out that no, she's a complete dick, but not for the reasons that all of the ones in the first one were.
So that makes so this is a layered twist. The first layer is your expectation when she was handed the card is that she was being recruited so that she could go in and participate in the games.
Yeah.
And you were tricked from that very moment. She got onto the back of the semi truck, and the first thing I was like, "This is different. Why is this
Mm,
different? Why isn't she being gassed in a minivan?"
yeah.
So she goes into her individual thing and then is voluntarily changing. They were involuntary change in the first one.
Yeah.
And like something's off, and then all of a sudden she puts on the mask and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But
You see just that flash of the red jumpsuit instead of the green
mhm.
first. Yeah.
And another thing, like that was a good observation there, where everybody who was submitted into the game seemed to be like an a-hole, except for uh
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What was his name?
Oh, oh yeah. Um, yeah, they were all dicks except for Ali Abdul,
Yeah.
uh, 199,
Mm.
who seemed like a like genuinely decent person. Mind you, he like was the cause of someone getting very injured, but it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
Um, but the premise that everybody who went in to participate as uh, a player was some type of a hole,
Yeah.
whereas we have someone who seems to be genuinely good going in and participating on the controller side
Yeah.
on behalf of the Squid Game. It's a very interesting dynamic. So like that got twisted in so many ways, so many times.
Hmm. Well, and for me, I think if that like that twist in particular is what has actually made me excited for the rest of the series,
Hmm.
right? Because again, the rest of it's like again, it's from a story standpoint, it's fantastic. Just from a continuation up in the air, but that twist in and of itself made me go like, nope, this is going to be something different, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's what gets the optimism going.
Yeah.
Uh, um, I'm not particularly optimistic that the ending of this season is either going to be 456 being the new Black Mask or dying.
Mm. You think that isn't neither of those are going to happen,
I think it's
or
going to be one of those, and I I don't like it already.
so? I If you had asked me before watching these first two episodes,
Mm,
I would have been excited for 456 being the new Black Mask because it plays into a lot of what we figured was building up and what we've seen in other similar genres before.
mm.
The winner becomes the new game master.
Yeah, it's very freaking American horror movie
Yeah.
with the little doll. What is that?
Yeah. Uh, Chucky?
No, the
Annabelle? Annabelle?
no, it's with the games.
Oh, oh, Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Saw?
So,
Yeah, the one that I referenced in the intro.
look, man, I don't know Saw. Not my kind of horror.
Oh,
My kind of horror is make you question
Silent
what
Hill.
no, well, make you question what you could feasibly do as a person to another person, like very psychological.
Something like let's say Hush or Creep or
Yeah, not
yeah,
not like uh not
Purge.
torture porn, not monsters.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. The scariest stuff is the stuff that's like, no, this could just happen.
Yeah.
Call it from inside the house. What the hell?
But no, I mean, I probably would have argued with you on that fact. I just because I know my biases,
Hmm.
so I would have been like, no, he's gonna the very ending. Um, the fact that the entire first series about 456 try becoming a good person and trying to accomplish something so he could get back to his daughter, and like for that to be an outlet, and then for that to just be like, nope. So like, I guess we're off track
At
now.
least you made a phone call.
Yeah, at least he made a phone call. But
Uh,
I still don't really care what happens with Handsome Cop,
no, not at all.
and I'm interested in seeing what 11 is gonna do in the games, and if I'm hoping that her story is her coming to grips with what she can do, like the psychological aspect of that, like her coming to grips of what she can do to another person under that face of anonymity as um, a member of the controlling cast
Mm.
of the Squid Game.
Yeah. It'll be, I think it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. At least I'm invested in her character, like a handsome cop.
We have at least a little bit more investment with him now, but it's still like
I think the problem when it comes to handsome cop and the investment there is like because there was so little investment in the first one, they have to work like extra hard to get us to care in this one.
well, and that's why I said originally is like one of the reasons why it took 2 episodes instead of one is they were like the biggest hole in the first season was Handsome Cop,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they need to make that right. So giving him like he had almost an entire episode's worth of material.
Yeah.
He probably had 35, 45 minutes of screen time out of was it an hour and 50? I guess
Yeah.
minus credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, which I mean, considered compared to like 45 seconds each episode in the first season. It was just
Very true, very true.
didn't we find out that he was added after the fact or something?
Yeah, he was 100% executive meddling.
Uh
So again, at least they're trying to fix that, and I get that. Uh,
oh, you know what I was almost keen for? Um so he was so 456 was trying to do the thing where you um like you stand out to blend in.
yeah,
That's the reason why his hair was pink, the same pink as the jumpsuits of the members of the
yeah,
Squid Game masters. But I think that's why he had his hair like that. It wasn't required.
yeah,
Like they could have just had him having brown or black hair, but he goes into the bathroom, and I totally thought they were going to do a play on the Man from Nowhere, that movie I showed you.
yeah,
Like handsome cop buzzing his head in a cool way.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen there too.
That was that was a good scene though when he like gets the tracking thing, and then the kid comes and he's like, "I'm busy." Or occupied or whatever, and I was like, that's funny in the situational funniness that I like,
Yeah,
opposed to like the first season, which had some of the Korean filmmaking tropes that I really don't like, which is like it goes from goofy to ultra serious in like a moment's notice.
yeah,
And it's like really takes you out of it.
yeah. So, how much? So obviously, you got rid of the tracking device, and but I don't believe that he was ever not tracked. Still, that's the only way a lot of the stuff makes sense. Which I think is again kind of creates a bit of a plot hole for me. It's like obviously they know he's hunting them. Obviously they know this. This is why because we see evidence of it throughout. And the Halloween party where hey look, there's a bunch of them. They know exactly who they are. Um, again, the setup for them following him and such. So how much do you figure this was a setup? And again, why not make a move earlier?
So I think they did lose him. I think they lost him when he removed the tracking thing. But because of him being so adamant to try to find the people in the game and actually doing very obvious moves, makes him very trackable for like a group with such power.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was more a case of just him being a powerful loose end. When he has like $1 billion, like you can do
Mhm.
a lot with that.
Yeah.
Um, I forgot the question though.
So saying like if obviously they had tracked them,
Mhm.
Arguable how long they lost track of him for.
I would say months at most out of the 2 years,
Yeah.
personally.
So I think that the big question is again, why would a group that powerful and we've got someone that adamant, they're gonna know he's got that armory going.
Hmm. I think a company, or not a company, but a group with that much power would be able to make educated assumptions. I would say no is tough, but I think they would have a good gauge of what kind of threat he would be.
Right.
So,
So why
opposed to him having guns, having him have power in some way that would threaten them would be a better way to put it.
hmm. So I mean, I guess why would we not see, why would a group like that not be making moves earlier?
I don't know. Will it be the major plot hole of the season? It's very likely to be.
All right, and then that's about as far as I was going with that.
Well, it could also be that, I mean, I'm throwing this out there. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to substantiate it. It could be for the honor of the game.
Mm.
He won, so he's no longer susceptible to the rules of the game, right? He's no longer under their control. Freedom is what he won. Freedom and money.
Right. Right.
I don't. The only ideological person that we knew of was 01.
Yeah.
And he died. And he was the only one that had a reason to like create those games.
Yeah.
And for there to be honor within it, there's nothing structural. We don't know anything about the ideology of the people that are actually running the games now.
Mm.
And maybe we'll explore that, but yeah. I think it's gonna be a plot hole.
I think so too. And it kind of goes back, and so it's an interesting plot hole that I'm a little bit torn about. Because in season 1, we're like, I don't care about the runners of the game right now. And I remember us talking about it, it's like, this is useless. But because they made it a point, now I have to care about it.
It's almost like they should have explored that with a certain genetically well endowed character.
So someone who may be an officer of the peace or something.
Yeah. By well endowed, I meant endowed with good endowed with good genetics, not somebody with a large member. But I know he's handsome, cop. Never know, it's handsome.
Oh.
And this it does all boil down to the cautious part of the cautious optimism, right? So
Yeah.
These first 2 episodes could fall extremely flat based on what they do in the next 2.
Yeah.
If I were to look at from my perspective, we're on like the razor's edge right now. I feel that the first 2 episodes here's quality is going to be established with how it sets up the coming episodes and not what it is in reference to the previous episodes. So I'm torn. Will they be good? I wasn't even sold in watching season 2 anyways. It wasn't my idea.
Well, I was gonna say too, it's the Arcane season 2 cautious optimism came from the fact that season 1 was just so phenomenal.
It was a banger.
So good.
I may have been tipsy last night watching clips of Arcane season 2, just like with tears in my eyes.
Rip Aisha.
I definitely did watch that one.
Oh, I think I know that we had from what I understand, a general hot take when it came to Squid Game. We were both like, "It's all right," because we've seen better. And that's not to say it wasn't. It was like it was good, except for the stuff they really forced in. But it definitely makes that razor's edge even thinner. Whereas like Arcane season 2, we're like, it's okay, they can fix it. We've seen them do it before.
Yeah.
This one here, I was like I said, this could just be another plot hole that we will never get a good explanation of, but there will be a ton of video essayists explaining why it was actually fantastic and had something deep that clearly wasn't in the show.
I don't know if I ever actually expressed what I felt of Squid Game season 1. I guess I'll say it now. I thought season 1, not in the way you keep implying that I mean the word, the way that I actually mean the word, I thought it was fine. I thought it was entertaining. I don't think it was that deep. I thought the writing in some points was good and in a lot of other places was bad.
Yeah.
Because of, I don't want to say lack of care. Because I don't think they thought there would be a season 2. They just let things ride that are now is already impacting season 2.
Yes.
So
There's a reason why I said all right, not fine.
yeah, there. Some context. I keep saying things fine, and when I mean fine, I mean it's perfectly passable. You can watch it. It's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna boil your brain. It's entertaining.
You've got a tone when you say fine.
You've got a tone when you say fine. Um,
A tone which you didn't use when you used the word fine this time.
it's all the same fine. I have one fine, and it's mine.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like yeah, I don't think either of us we didn't hate the show. Just
It's okay.
I just don't think it was the hype that everyone gave it. But again, I think a lot of that comes from the fact that it's not an unfamiliar premise and genre to us. It has been in Asian media for ages, and there was a time when we were nerds.
Yes.
So it wasn't. I mean, that's just the as Asian culture comes more and more mainstream. I
Yeah.
expect to see people. I like the fact that people are interested in these genres, which is the reason why, unfortunately, we just have these. It's why I feel the need to make these comparisons to the other media, Liar's Game, Battle Royale, etc., because it's the same genre. It's clearly where Squid Game gets its inspiration from
Mm-hmm.
in these types of shows, and I understand that most of the world no idea these things exist. Maybe Battle Royale, maybe.
I mean, there was a small generation of nerds who were really into Battle Royale.
Yeah, but I mean, again, this was the smaller, it wouldn't have had the mainstream appeal that Squid Game is, and I really appreciate that Squid Game is opening up this world to people. But again, it just makes these plot holes, which again, as you said, it would have been they were there. We could have ignored them if there wasn't a season, if they just ended it like that. And I think it was a perfectly alright ending to have him turning around and going to it and just never getting anything from it. Just leave that in your head, like not having the second season. Because as you said, now we're just having to deal with the repercussions of all of these things because they didn't expect a season 2 to be happening.
I feel like the better choice would have been to have Handsome Cop be our primary protagonist.
Yes.
Going into season 2, for 4, 5, 6 to have actually left.
Yeah.
And then even have him do off-screen stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's using his money to topple the secret society that's doing these games, but we don't find out about it until later.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah. Or maybe
Like
he's a VIP
have
now.
them. Yeah. Well, and the VIP thing, I mean, while it would be interesting, I don't think it would have fit with the bit of character growth we got from him in season one. Um, just because they just showed the VIP guys as completely uncaring and I don't know, trying to get into that situation to change the game from within, I don't think would have worked.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been nice to have him, putting seeds out and bankrolling. He's got a bit of an idea of how the game works, having been pulled into it.
Yeah.
And I will suspend disbelief and say he's got a really good idea of how it works, even though he really wouldn't have, but I could allow something like that. And, have him bankrolling Handsome Cop, have him, having an idea of the types of people that they're pulling into these different roles. So he's also, you know, secret reveal that he was coaching Mascot Girl and bankrolling the cop to find out what was happening. And
Yeah, you kind of pull an American heist movie kind of twist on it.
yes,
Would have been good.
yeah.
I overall, the only thing that was feeling kind of disconcerting for me in the first two episodes here was it was feeling almost it felt like an American view of a Japanese thriller opposed to a Korean view on a standard Asian trope.
Oh, that is a really good way to put that. Oh, all right, that's helping my feelings align more. That's a really good way to put it.
um, all I know is I know how I'm going to feel at the end of this.
Yeah.
I'm either going to say it was fine or it was fine. Or I'm going to say it wasn't good.
Yeah.
If they were to stick to the genre change, like I love Batman.
Yeah.
Just like the next season is just a completely different genre and we're just running with it. We're not going to skip back. We're not going to kind of explore the same themes. We got this new thing and this is what we're progressing. It could be good.
Yeah.
But I feel that what's going to be jarring to both of us is when we actually, because there's going to be at least one game that is participated in.
Yeah.
Fully from start to finish. And I feel that's going to be a shift back and it's going to be disconcerting for both of us. It's going to be like Whiplash.
Yeah. Yep. I can see that. Yeah. I think I'd be fine with the genre change. I don't think they're going to see it through.
No. Well, it depends. It depends on the point of view. And unfortunately, I think 456 is still going to be our primary protagonist. Otherwise, they wouldn't have devoted so much time.
I think one of the things that could have helped, as you said, that if we shifted to Handsome Cop being our protagonist, and well, I mean, I guess it's still technically possible because Black Mask may not be his brother this time. It's still just Black Mask. I don't know.
That's true.
So, like, it would have been interesting to have a reason to have Handsome Cop pushed into the game or something instead.
What we're probably gonna find out is, yeah, they're definitely going to Borderlands it. Oh, we opened up the vault, and what does that mean? Look at all these other planets that also have vaults.
Yeah.
We're gonna be in a situation where we're gonna find out that this is just the Korean sect of the Squid Game, and that the West has one, and like Africa has one.
Oh my god, he should have got on the damn plane.
He should have got on the damn plane.
Oh, that no, really that Because that would have been amazing. He gets on the damn plane, he's in America, and gets pulled into the American Squid Game.
You know what'd be funny though? They could have escape roomed it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And gassed everybody on the plane.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Or have it be like all the winners of... So that's another thing from the Asian trope is like the winners who participated who thought they were free are actually just going into the winner's game.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been good. And again, you get a very different trope, like
Oh, I would have loved that. You've
like
won your
catching
money.
fire.
Yeah, you've won your money, but now you actually need to win your freedom.
Yeah. Right. Hunger Games Catching Fire.
Yeah.
Was fantastic for that because it was like a bunch of people, again, we're getting pulled back into the games. We've already won. We're supposed to be free of this BS. And now you're pulling us in again. Cool. So now we're all going to find a way to screw you guys over. Like, and again, you just have that different insight. So, everyone's going to be playing the games differently, looking at them differently, and having an idea of how to get back at the man.
It'd be so easy to like abduct somebody on a plane.
Right?
Like if you were very wealthy, you could just gas the entire plane, everyone's asleep, and then you just remove the person.
Yep.
And then you just like store them below deck or something.
Yep.
Or like they go to the washroom and then you just abduct them and then put them down the hole, right?
Yeah.
No one knows. Like everyone's strangers on the plane.
Yeah. No one would know. Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm playing Shinji.
Opposed to gassing the entire plane like they do in Escape Room. I'm pretty sure it was Escape Room. It was
Escape Room.
I watch movie clips on YouTube for movies that I'll never watch, such as Escape Room.
It was all right.
It wasn't fine.
I mean, I enjoyed it. It was definitely not a masterpiece, but it fit the tropes well enough. It kind of gave that Saw trap vibe, and then the sequel is all right because again, that's what you end up having. You've got now a tournament of champions, so they're looking at the games differently. Right? Didn't go Hunger Games route with it, but I think it was interesting that way.
Do you know if they were greenlight for a season 3
for Squid Game?
Yeah,
no idea.
I mean, I didn't watch the trailer. We should probably not look to see if they were greenlit for season 3 until after watching season 2. I've just
agreed. So don't accidentally Google something.
I've ruined Blue Lock just by existing.
You know what? I accidentally ruined Blue Lock as well just by existing literally half an hour before we started recording.
Was it a YouTube short that was like, this person does this to this outcome in Blue Lock?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, dang it. You probably saw the same one as me. I mean, you knew it was going to happen anyways.
Right? Oh, yeah. It's not a spoiler in the traditional sense, but it's like, I just wanted to see it happen.
I wanted to see a still image person doing a thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of still images, I have some hopes.
All right.
Do you have anything that you hope to see aside from structural realignment?
Well, I mean, I hope for structural realignment, but I don't think we're going to see it. I think, as you said, we're going to get that whiplash as soon as we get in there. I think the biggest hope that I have with what we have set up now is our character focus shifts to 11, and we get the effect on the game masters instead. I think that would just be infinitely more entertaining and a better build up on what we have. I really don't care if the paramilitary force gets involved. Just, I don't know. It's a plot line that I get, but it's not the plot line it's not the plot line that I want.
Well, I mean, the way that they've set it up, so I'm disregarding it completely.
Yeah.
they're either going to come in at the end or they were actually hired by the Squid Game.
That would be a nice twist if they're plants.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that.
Because we already know the second in command is already done. I hope they're either removed completely or they're plants.
Yeah. See, I think the bigger twist that I would like to see is a focus on 11 as the game master and seeing the inner workings, the actual inner workings, as opposed to what Handsome Coppin thought the inner workings were, and um, and go from there. I really don't think that 456 is going to be able to affect any change with the players in the game. He kind of tried in the first. He did end up getting that bit of the coterie that was, but it was for naught. That fits the tropes.
Yeah.
So I don't have a reason to. I think I would be disappointed if all of a sudden he's effective this time around with that same type of thing. Because
I mean, he's definitely in better shape now. They gave the bare butt shot for him, but they didn't show him like practicing games. He didn't intend to go back. That's just how he ended up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're to go in and all of a sudden be like an expert at all the games, that'd be not great for the story.
Yeah, and they didn't set it up like the other tropes. Like, again, gonna reference Liar Game.
Yep.
Like, the two protagonists there, I think they managed to convince a total of like one person to swap sides, and everything else for her to be successful in bringing down the game was her learning to play the game. Right? Like, she had to play the game to come out on top, and just managed to get the same type of trickery in, and just had a different outcome in mind than everyone else who was in the game.
Which is funny because to me, because I hadn't seen the ending of that, but that's definitely getting the Max Shinji, because that's like what she was told from square one.
Yeah,
it's like by the dude, right? It's
yeah,
just like, no, you have to play the game.
yeah, yeah. It's just know what your win condition is. Your win condition doesn't have to be get all the money. Your win condition is everyone gets out unscathed, but you still have to play the game.
Still got to play the game.
Yeah.
For me, I'm hoping.
So,
I'm hoping that our participants aren't. I hope at least one of them is sympathetic. Having a bunch of raging assholes is not going to do well for 11's character, because 11's got to kill some of them.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, 11 could just be cremating them. We don't know if she's going to be AKing people in the face.
It's true.
But it would be very interesting to see a comparison of a sympathetic person who's about to die based on what we know about 11, which is admittedly not that much.
Yeah.
But we know all we need to know.
Yeah.
So I would love to see it twice. I would love to see that hypothetical scene. We have our sympathetic character. We know their backstory. We want them to succeed. And then they fail and they get shot by a masked individual. And then we see the same scene from 11's point of view and see why it's sympathetic to her. So we just don't know how to feel about the entire situation. That's what I want.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that goes back to the wanting to see the show shift its focus onto her.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because I think that's a big thing. I want to see the effect that it has on her more than anything else. Again, especially being on the other side.
And will she end up like a front man?
Yeah.
Like, I would be unhappy if they telegraphed what was going to happen with 11 based on the conversation with Frontman about how he started just cremating bodies and killing people, and then now he's recruiting.
Yeah. I honestly don't know how much backstory we're going to get of the other players.
Well, that's one of the faults that I see in what they did with a 2-episode intro.
Yeah.
We should already be introduced, like, if it was going to be games orientated, like directly opposed to meta, we should already be introduced to at least one new participant.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen any.
I thought we were being introduced to a participant.
I mean, yeah, true. I'm I'm meta on this one. I am more interested to see what they're going to try to do with the series than what actually will happen.
Yes. That is accurate.
Like, I want to see the choices of the directing and the script writing to be like, and will it remain like it's got to become a little bit lighter in some aspects, but like, are we gonna remain like 4, 5, 6, like deep voice and like this guy's actually kind of like not badass but like driven?
Yeah.
Or is it gonna like have the kind of off kilter like do? Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.